welcome to the Joseph Apartment Talk Show. We have some splendid guests this morning. This episode brought to us by the wonderful people at Golden Coast Handyman Services, and I'll start with Julia, who is the co-owner of the enterprise. Julia, look at the camera and tell my clients what is going on in the handyman business.
Well, right now we've been doing a lot of different flooring jobs, and so today I'm offering a 10% discount on all flooring installations. What's really popular right now is vinyl plank, waterproof flooring, ripping out old carpets and getting rid of that. So if you're interested in that, tile, hardwood, whatever you need, call us for any of those flooring needs. Other than that, we do tenant improvements, work for property management companies, and refreshing the units, turnovers, and stuff like that. So give us a call, and we'd love to help you.
That's 10%, or this way, depending on who you are. What's the contact information?
You can give us a call at 562-201-6137.
I'm going to skip Dean and Phil and go to our new guest this morning, debuting on our show, Casey from Classic Plumbing. We use him here at the Property Management Company. I use him at my own house. Reliable, friendly, fast, kind. Very unusual for the plumbing business, I may say. Casey, tell my clients what's going on and what, as apartment owners, regarding tenants or their own property, any tips, any suggestions?
We do anything from drippy faucets, slow drains to complete repipes, remodels. Property managements are one of our biggest things. Trust is huge for us, making sure that as landowners or whatever, that we're your eyes and ears out there, making sure that things are going right. Free assessments on any properties, homes, buildings, just to take a look at foreseeable problems in the future, so that they're not an emergency for a lot of the property owners or the managers and things like that. And just making sure that we stay on top of it, not overselling, but just informing and making sure that everyone is on the same page as far as what the issues are and what we can do to repair. You know, as far as tips and tricks, especially with the tenants, you know, that seem to think that they don't have to pay for it. We've been seeing a lot of drain issues, maintenance on the drains. We have a wide range of sewer machines, sewer cameras, inspections. Hydrojetting is one of our big things. A lot of things we've been seeing in some of the larger properties is actually removing the garbage disposals. Seems to free up some of those kitchen sink stoppages that plague your profits at the end of the month for the homeowners. So a lot of things with the drains that we run into with the tenants going through that.
Casey, how do we get a hold of you? And a client can call you up and say, "This is my apartment building. Come by, take a look. Give me some ideas on preventive maintenance at no charge."
Oh yeah, that's second opinions are one of our specialties. You're being told something from someone that you've trusted or someone that you've used for a long period of time. We can come in, we can be that one step up, at least give you an idea, even if it's just a consultation to help your maintenance guys move forward with it and just build a relationship with you. We're here in Whittier, California. Our phone number is 562-773-7482. Get a hold of us anytime for, like I said, a free assessment. Just take a look and see what you have going on and build some ideas.
Just nice guys, very friendly, very responsive, and a pleasure to work with here at the office for our property management, and then myself personally. Next, we have Dean, who's going to tell us what is going on in the world of credit, and credit correcting, and credit analysis.
Yes. Okay. Well, thanks for having me, James. My name's Dean Capey. I own Pacific West Credit. We're a licensed credit repair. You might have heard me speak in the past. There's a couple things that have seemed to happen. Just yesterday, a client is in escrow to buy a mobile home park, and she's going to pay cash after she sells her house. She went to fill out the application on the lease of the land, not the mobile home park, and the landowner turned her down due to lack of credit. So even though she's paying $320,000 for a property in Huntington Beach, the landowner says your credit worthiness is not acceptable. That killed the deal, and the escrow is now falling out until she gets her credit. But also some very interesting, Equifax, as everybody knows, had a data breach in 2017 where 143 million U.S. customers were impacted. The credit was Their data was taken. This letter is one of our clients. You're part of the additional 2.5 million. The securities chief for Equifax knew this data breach a week before it came public. He shorted his own company's stock and made $85,000. He just pled guilty to insider trading. So do the credit bureaus really look after for the consumer, or does, you know what I'm trying to say?
Crooked
Thank you.
cops is what you're trying to say.
My name's Dean. Consultation's always free. We've been doing this for a long time. We are licensed with the Department of Justice. My cell number, once again, is 714-323-5538. Thank you.
I always tell landlords, if you turn away a tenant because of bad credit, instead of just saying no, send them to Dean and he will fix them up. At least that step. If they're willing to do that step, Dean, it means they're serious and they're reputable and maybe you can work with them. It's good- it's a good
Credit has
sign.
prevented people from joining the police department, fire department. I've had people trying to get into the military, buy property. We've been reduced to a 3-digit score, and it's something that you should take serious because money's cheap out there. You can't get it without a good score.
Speaking of bad credit, before I ask Phil to speak, a couple of things not related to Phil, but taxes. There's a split roll initiative coming up on the ballot 2020. I'm not sure if it affects apartments, but the trend towards minimizing or cracking Prop 13 is there, and we all know what's going on in Sacramento. So I'm not going to ask Phil to talk about that, but it's something we all need to take into consideration in our planning if that does go away. So that's something. Also, rent control, the spread of rent control. The initiative failed, but it's amazing in how many areas. LA County has rent control. There's a lot of Whittier that's LA County. So the split roll and rent control, a couple of things to keep an eye on. So Phil, what is going on in the world of exchanging exclusively, not taxes in general?
Well, I wanted to comment on that one thing you just said. Good morning, everybody. Here's the bottom line. The State of the State address, if you happen to hear it, 3 weeks ago, one of the items that our new governor shared was he wants to reinvestigate or relook at the tax code here in California for the Franchise Tax Board. If I can interpret that for you, I think that means, well, not only are we the #1 tax state in the union, apparently he wants to raise it even more. So just keep your eyes open and be vigilant. Next thing I want to talk about what's happening. We've had clients have issues with their 45-day identification period. So Jim, you list the property, you get it into escrow quickly, and they're thrilled that they're going to close this at a good price, quickly, everything's good, except the federal government says you only have 45 days to identify what you're going to buy from the time the sale closes. Here's the problem. You're stuck. If you don't find that right property, you're in trouble. And some people think that an accommodator can just play with the numbers and extend that 45 days or have them rewrite a new identification sheet or submit to. I've heard so many different things. Let me just tell the viewers right now. It's called tax fraud. That means you're in big trouble, and so is the accommodator. So I hope you'll like each other because you'll probably be cellmates. So here's the deal. If I were you, this is what I would talk with Jim about. How about if we build a contingency on the sale that says I'm going to reserve the option to extend escrow for 30 days, either once or twice, depending on if I'm in escrow, and approve any inspections on the acquisition. That's the best way to deal with the 45 days, is not to start it. And what begins the starting of the 45 days? The closing of the sale. So my recommendation in a market where there's not a lot of inventory right now, even though there's a little bit more, we're still at least a quarter of a year behind in inventory. The bottom line is I'd recommend is that you help them with some contingency language so they can extend the closing of the sale and hopefully stay off that 45 days from the
So
beginning.
Phil, you're telling my apartment owners that they should hire me to put this verbiage together so that they're not in trouble. That's what I'm hearing out of this whole thing.
Well, that and exchange resources, I imagine. But that's my tip for the day.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Phil. And last but not least, Chris. I met with Chris and my client selling a $6 million property at the Trump golf course in San Pedro. And Chris did a great job of explaining to my client of how he could sell his building in Montebello and then 1031 tax-free, exchange the property to 3 separate properties, one in Washington and a couple other places. But very exciting opportunity. And again, these people I know personally. I'm not going to recommend them to you unless I have personal knowledge that they do a good job. And of course, if they don't do a good job, I'm going to hear from you. So that's something you want to take into consideration when you want to use them. So Chris, tell my viewers what's going on in the worlds of uplegs.
Thank you, Jim. So, as Jim said, I specialize in partial interest properties for 1031 exchanges. My clients can exchange from their sometimes management intensive 8 units here in California to maybe part of a 300 unit apartment complex in Dallas, or maybe part of a triple net leased property in the Atlanta suburbs. So doing this, they can give up the burden of being a landlord. They can move out of state, which is important to a lot of people nowadays. And in a lot of cases, we can even get them more cash flow than they're getting on their own and working hard for. So it really makes a lot of sense for a lot of investors I talk about. So Phil and Jim brought up some good points earlier that I want to expand on. Phil talked about the problem with identifying a property in 45 days, getting all your due diligence done, getting your loan approved, and getting that property closed in time. My properties are all turnkey. That means if there's a loan on the property, which some have loans, some don't, the loan's already in place. If you tell me I want to buy part of those 300 units in Dallas, we'll fill out the paperwork, we'll have you closed next week. So you're not worrying about your 45 days. You're not running around looking at other options. And most importantly, you're not waiting around to close to get your first check. So that's another benefit of my properties. Now, Jim mentioned, I had a good conversation with somebody yesterday about this, rent control. So even though the rent control measure was voted down in November, we have rent control creeping in around us here in California. Now remember that the Santa Monica rent control ordinance, which I think was from 1978, was temporary, and it's still there. Now, all these new rent control ordinances are temporary as well, but do you think they'll pull them away? Rent control, as Jim mentioned, is now in unincorporated Los Angeles County. It was put into Inglewood recently. It was put into, I believe, Glendale recently. I had an investor telling me a couple of weeks ago that he lost $5 million of equity instantly because now he can't raise rents anymore. So a client I was talking to yesterday, he's spooked about all of this. He's got some units down in Oceanside. The beach cities tend to like rent control. So he's really exploring the possibility of getting out. He likes California, so he himself is not moving, but the possibility of moving some of his assets out of California to hedge his bets really appeals to him, and that's what we can help with.
How do you hold you?
You can call me at 877-313-1868, or you can visit my website. It's www.chrismiller1031.com. And again, my name is Chris Miller with Specialized Wealth Management.
Thanks for watching. I'm going to ask my guests to do one thing. Tell me the name of their company and their phone number as we wrap this up. Thank you for watching. So starting with Julia, the name of your company and your phone number.
Okay, Golden Coast Handyman Services, 562-201-6137.
Dean Tapey, Pacific West Credit, 714-323-5538.
Phil Atwan, Exchange Resources, 213-479-8800.
Casey with Classic Plumbing, 562-773-7482.
And I'm Chris Miller with Specialized Wealth Management, 877-313-1868.
I'm James Joseph with Joseph Apartments, 562-236-0088. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month.